All right. Hello, everyone. You know me, Nick Tower, continuing the long distance running. Today, I'm joined by Sarah and Lupe. These are two of my former running coaches, some of the best runners I know, and best people, and fantastic coaches. So I'm just going to talk to them a little bit today about some topics that they're very knowledgeable about that I hope also help you in your running career. You guys want to do any more introduction of yourself?
Sure.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
do you want to go first? Ladies first, Sarah.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Sarah Rader, and I coach here in Reno, Nevada at Demonte Ranch High School. I've been coaching here for 6 seasons, and Lupe and I coach together. And I have been a lifelong runner. I started running in middle school, and now I've been running for over 3 decades, and love to compete, love to just get out there every single day and, feel the fresh air and enjoy running. So I'm happy to talk to you guys about what I know about running.
Nice. I'm Lupe Cabada. I come from a small town, Winnemucca, Nevada, and I've been running for 15 years. And within the last 10 years, I've been coaching. So I was on the athlete side, and now I'm on the coaching side. And the passion is to help other people, basically help other people in the way I was helped throughout the years. So really excited to be on here.
Awesome. All right, so we'll just kind of start going through some of the questions I have planned out. So first up, both of you guys being coaches, when you have someone that's either fairly new to running or inexperienced, maybe it's even like their first time running seriously, what's some of the first things that you want to do with them to get them to start working towards some of their goals?
Do you want to answer that, or do you want me to, Sarah?
No, go for it. Go for it, and I'll piggyback on what you say.
Yeah, basically, we just want to know more history on the athlete or the person. Basically, if they've been active before running, say other sports, if they grew up playing other sports like soccer, basketball, because it makes a big difference in the way you transition somebody into running. So basically, get the history. After we know the history, we can basically set them up on a plan. Basically, we like to go by minutes or versus miles when we first start with somebody, because most people aren't ready to go run a 3-mile run, but most people are ready to go out and run for 10 minutes. And sometimes we do walk run, just an easy way to transition. We find out their history and see how many days it would be great for them to run. Sometimes we add in cross training, but mainly it's just, case by case basis on our athletes.
Yeah, and I wouldn't add too much to that, only that, we have specialized in coaching high school kids, and so often we get young kids that do have an athletic background in soccer or basketball or any number of, sports that they've competed in prior to running but have no actual long distance running experience. So a lot of times we start them with 20 minutes, but you are gonna do that walk run for 20 minutes, and that may be a minute of running, a minute of walking, a minute of running, a minute of walking, repeat until you hit 20 minutes, which makes most people feel like they've accomplished something, but it's not enough that's going to make them so sore or get an injury right away where they can't keep that consistency and can't keep coming back for more.
Right. If you just do at the beginning, you could get somebody either injured or burnt out, and so we try to get them to enjoy what they're doing before we increase, and let their cardiovascular system and tendons, ligaments catch up and muscles catch up before we increase anything. So it's just really knowing, finding a coach, and that's why it's so valuable to have a coach, somebody who's experienced, so that they can make those decisions for you.
And what would you suggest for someone that maybe, isn't able to find a coach, not find someone they trust, but kind of just wants to start out on their own first, maybe how to kind of approach that the best way?
That's a really good question, because not everybody is in a position where they can either pay for a coach or knows how to find a coach. There's a lot of plans out there online that you can follow, but they tend to be some, there's like off the couch kind of training plans for people, and some of them are really good and some of them are still a little too aggressive for somebody who may not have been active ever in their life and are just starting. So I think the smaller the better in a start. Like if you've got somebody, let's just say somebody who maybe is a little bit overweight and trying to get into running and has a little extra that they're carrying, you start with 5 minutes and you go a minute on, minute off, minute on, minute off for 5 minutes, and then you do it the next day, and then the next week you add a couple minutes to that. So you start smaller than you think you should.
Right. I guess, yeah, it's just finding people with a little bit of experience. So usually what we like to do is when you move somewhere, first thing you do is visit a running store. Of course, that's a little hard to do right now, but you just look it up online, and usually you can reach out to, different companies, running stores, and they'll usually steer you in the right direction.
Awesome. So with that first experience of running, often, people probably tend to overestimate themselves a little bit, probably go out too hard, maybe even go out too far, and the way back sucks even more somehow, even though you may think that's impossible. And that first experience can often really turn people off from running. You often hear people say, man, I hate running. It's my least favorite thing to do. How can you kind of help people shift that mindset of, man, I hate running. It's not something I want to do, because of those first experiences where they just didn't have the right coaching to do things properly?
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead. Usually everybody goes through that when they first start getting into running, where you do a little too much and on the way back you really pay the price. But with running, you just have to realize that it's cumulative. So it's a cumulative effect where, you at the beginning, everything is pretty difficult, but if you keep doing it, it gets easier. Your heart expands, your lungs adapt, your muscles adapt, and they grow. So you just have to be really patient with it. And like Sarah was saying, start out small and just be consistent. So start out small. Consistency is the best thing before you burn yourself out. So when I'm out and I first started running, I basically just tell myself that I'm not going to have great days every day, but every day will have something great in it. So I just kind of keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And Nick, you're exactly right. Like most people do overestimate what they can do that first couple times, even those first few weeks, where it's like you don't think that a mile run could be that awful for somebody, but if you've never done it before, that's going to make you sore as heck. And so like, how do you talk to people and get them to keep coming back when maybe the next day they can barely move? And a lot of that is, like Lupe said, the consistency. And we've talked to a lot of our high school kids where they, sometimes they want to quit after the first couple of days. And they're like, this is not for me. I hate it. I can't do it. I'm never going to be good at it. And it's like 3 weeks, guys. You got to give it 3 weeks. 3 weeks of consistency. And if you can commit to 3 weeks of your life of doing this same routine for 3 weeks, and by the end of the 3 weeks, you're going to be so far ahead of where you are right now, you're not even going to remember this day. You're not going to remember this soreness. You're not going to remember this hurt. You're going to be like, oh my God, look what I could just do. So that kind of 3 weeks is not a magical number, but certain researchers say it takes 3 weeks to build habits. So I think, if you tell them like, just commit to 3 weeks, that's all I'm asking you to do. Commit to 3 weeks, and then you go from there.
Right. Usually adaptations happen. So I think you got to keep that in mind. Just keep building blocks, keep stacking fitness. And, after 3 weeks, you'll notice that you're running a little bit more efficiently. Things are getting a little easier. So you just have to be patient.
Awesome. And so when someone's first starting training, and say something comes up, either school, they're working a job, and they have to take a little break from running. And when they get back to it, their progress is kind of backtracked a little bit. How would you suggest they kind of stay motivated to keep up, get back on track with that running routine that they had probably pretty established, but kind of fell off of?
That's a really good question, and that happens more frequently than we think, because people have lives, and running isn't the 100% of everybody's life, and nor should it be. So there's many factors that can get in the way of that progress that you've been seeing. And I think that's when you really, really, really have to have good people in your court, your friends, your support network, your coach, if you have one, your significant other, or whoever it is that is encouraging you to, like, okay, look back on what you were doing a month ago. Look back on what you were doing 3 weeks ago. We'll go back to where we started, and then we'll move forward. That fitness that you gained, it's still there. You're just going to regroup it, and then you're going to get further on past that original fitness. Just positive people around can go a long ways, I think.
Right. And the number one thing that you do when you're first building or you start running is you have to build a base, basically a foundation. And that foundation doesn't go away all that fast. You might lose some sharpness if you have to take some time off, but it's really hard to lose the base. So you just have to keep in mind, even if you had to take a day or two or even a week, you might lose some sharpness, but that base will be there to pick back up with your running.
That segues pretty nicely into just your local running community. So I know, Lupe, earlier you mentioned shoe stores, and I don't think a lot of people realize that there are these very vibrant and centric running communities pretty much everywhere you live. So can you guys expand a little bit more about these running communities, kind of how you can find them, how you can kind of become a part of them too?
Yeah, absolutely. We're lucky here in Reno that we have not only one, but two really amazing specialty running shoe stores. And when I first moved here to Reno, I was an established runner, so I knew what I was looking for, but I just did a plain old Google search and said, running shoe stores, Reno, and then lo and behold, one popped up. So I went in and talked to those folks, and then they're able to tell you what recommended routes you can run. If you're a trail runner or want to explore some trails, they can recommend that. Then they, from there, told me, oh, we've got this running group and this running group. Here's when they meet. Here's the kind of clientele that they're looking for. Because, some of those running groups are higher end and more established runners, and some are open to more of your beginning runners. I just started with a Google search, and I think that that's not a bad way to start. Just Google your community and running stores, and there you go.
Right. A lot of the people now I met through running stores and running groups. So yeah, like Sarah said, we have some great running stores. We have Reno Running Company, we have Eclipse, and basically they've steered us in the right direction. They've taught us where trails are, which shoes to go with. They've connected us with some really great people, some people that we're still friends with, and I've lived here for over 10 years now, and they're some of my best connections.
And another cool way to connect with your community now, because we have so much in the way of technology, is through Strava. And so, even beginning runners and beginning athletes can join Strava for a free account. And then as they go for a walk, a run, a bike ride, or whatever, they can see other people who are doing those same routes. And, it can connect that way if you are comfortable with that. Like, not everybody is, but it's another way to see, like, oh, hey, this person lives near me and they did this route. Like, maybe it's a good person that I could connect with and, send them a message on Strava. I mean, there's always a way to social network that way too.
Awesome. So a lot of people kind of like the same gym syndrome that personal trainers have to go through. A lot of people are scared of the elite people, the people that have been going to the gym for a long time, right? Oh, I'm going to get judged for what I'm doing. May feel that kind of same way about joining a running community. So can you kind of expand on what the running community is more like, the certain levels, and also just kind of talk about how welcoming runners are, because there's nothing runners love more than convincing other people that they should become lifelong runners.
Correct. Do you want to answer this one, Lupe, or you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead. You can start and I'll chime in.
Okay. Well, and you're right. Like, it can be very intimidating if you're just beginning on your process of being an athlete, and then all of a sudden you the people you're encountering have run for 30 years or are collegiate runners or are racing 5Ks 20 minutes faster than you are. Like that's definitely something that can be intimidating. But Nick, you're exactly right. Like runners love to talk about running. We love to get others to run with us. We love to, runners are often like-minded, whether you're faster or not as fast. So in our community, we have the range of every type of running group. In our local running store, both of our local running stores have groups that meet on weekends primarily, because that works for most people's schedules, and they'll have they're open to all runners, and they freely advertise, like, we are open to all runners. Like, for example, Reno Running Company has their Sunday store runs, and hopefully soon we'll be able to get back to those, but they are open to any runner, and they get 50, 60 people turn out often, and they entice people with free coffee and pastries afterwards. And it's a good place where your beginners can connect with your faster runners. And so beginners, maybe the suggested route for them would be 2-mile route, whereas some of the faster runners are going to maybe do 10 or 12 miles that day, but you're all going to reconnect back at the store afterwards over coffee and some pastries. And so it's a good way for people to see, like, hey, I don't have to be this type of runner, but I can still be good friends and learn a lot from each other.
Right. Yeah, and there's just a certain thing about runners, like, for you to just go out and run, it takes a hard worker. Basically, runners and athletes, there's different athletes, but in our case, runners, we like to go out when the weather is bad, it's sunny, it doesn't really matter, but it's basically like they're just hardworking people, and because of the hard work, everybody's out on a run, everybody's working hard no matter what level they're at. And so you can kind of really bond off of that, no matter what speed. The main thing is we all have goals, and we're all trying to chase those goals, so we can connect with that in common. And like Sarah said, once we can all get back into those groups, we can talk about our goals and connect that way without feeling like you can't connect with a faster group or a slower group. I think we have a community that accepts all different speeds.
Awesome. So kind of ending off here is pretty much the culmination of like, oh, okay, so I'm getting into long distance running. Probably the end sight for a lot of people is, okay, am I going to do races? And I feel like when people hear the word race, they often associate it with highly competitive, something where, you have to put a lot in. Can you guys talk about how not all races are kind of built equally, and some maybe fun races that you've done just because you enjoy running and wanted to do it?
So yeah, with racing, the number one thing is you can treat it however you want it. There's some people that really love to compete, so they're there to compete. There's some people that love to just complete the race because it's an achievement. I think both you can find a lot of achievement from that. So no matter what you're looking for, I think it's just, if you set a goal, those races can become whatever you want them to be.
Yeah, and every community that I'm aware of has really grown in their amount of races offered recently, and then they continue to grow. And so there are races of all types. There are certain races for sure that are targeted more towards your elite runners, where you have prize money offered and things like that. But most local racing communities, including ours here in Reno, and I'm certain down in Vegas, there are so many 5Ks and 10Ks that everybody can participate. Everyone gets a medal. Everyone gets the same little buffet of fun stuff at the end. It can be intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. And a lot of the runners that Lupe and I have worked with that are adults their goal can be to run let's say a certain local race, and then the next year beat their own time on that race course. So they're being competitive, maybe within their age group at the race itself, but also more importantly competitive within themselves from year to year and from race to race. And so I think you can, like Lupe said, you can get what you need out of any race situation.
Awesome. So that kind of does it for all my questions, specifically asking you guys what I wanted you to do. Is there anything else that you'd like to advice, maybe tips for anybody within kind of starting the long distance?
I'd say like my one piece of advice, and the reason that I'm still running after so many years, is that I find running to be fun. And however you can make running fun for you, find that way. If it's running with another person makes it more fun for you, try, of course not right this moment, but once our social distancing is over, try to find that one or two or three or four people that you run with. If running the same course every day and trying to beat yourself sometimes is, beat your time on that course is fun to you, find that. If you love like doing random pickups and finding that tree, and I'm gonna run hard to that tree, and then I'm gonna jog easy, like whatever the fun is for you, find that fun and it'll keep you going with it.
Yeah, I think the main thing with distance running is you have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you're probably going to burn yourself out. So number one thing is enjoy what you do, love what you do first, and then after that, make goals. Basically, just find your love, then find goals. Find people that are like-minded. Runners are usually like-minded, and then just enjoy it. Basically, you just never know when your last step might be, so just enjoy every step.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. It's always great talking to you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank
and
you. Appreciate the time.
No problem.
And hope you guys enjoyed the talk and found a lot. But basically, you guys can also reach out if you guys have any questions to Nick Tower, of course, and then he'll reach out to us. We're happy to guys out.
Yeah, I'm happy to provide the information of both of these fantastic people to anybody that has some more questions for them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Nick.